Loyalty isn't some grand cinematic gesture. It's the structural integrity of the mycorrhiza, the hidden fungal network that keeps the roots of our trees connected even when the soil is dry. It's the hard work of staying put, acknowledging that a tree can't grow if it's constantly being transplanted for a better view. We often look for it in others, but loyalty starts with the commitment to our own specific plot of dirt. I'm Nick Walton. I'm a coffee roaster, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a wee farmer, and I can't stop thinking about the invisible scripts that run our lives. You're listening to The Values Sort. This is a field guide to the values that shape the patterns of thinking and behaviors that end up shaping our entire lives. This is essay number 36, Loyalty. Loyalty is important, right? The card says, faithful to my friends, my group. Now, I am deeply faithful to my friends, particularly in recent years, as mortality has become so very real to us. A lot of priorities and things I thought were important have fallen away, but not so with friendships. The opposite, in fact. I am loyal, and I am faithful, and I am defensive, and I'm ready to do battle. Building on recent essays, it's often a deep sense of loyalty that informs even my feelings of violence towards perceived violators. I have the capacity for peacefulness, but I can be vicious. My tongue is generally tied down pretty well these days, but as I reflect, there's little that animates me more than a friend in need. And I think I'm leaning into that as I age. It's always been this way. I come by my love for my friends honestly, but I think I'm learning to want it. And I'm learning to tame it. My violence and my judgment can be, not always, but can be, loyalty off the chain, out of alignment with my values more broadly. Because remember, our lived experiences often just happen to us. We can no more control their happenings than the sun or the rain which falls on the just and the unjust alike. Our lived experiences affect and shape our values, which inform our vision and mission, which inform our goals, tasks, and time management. Again, we can see that pivot point between our experiences and our values. Our behaviors, actions, and thoughts. This time it's the mission. It's the what we do to get there. If I'm living my life in tasks and time management, I'm liable to be reactive, and my sense of loyalty will be informed by that reactivity. If my sense of loyalty is unchained, unharnessed, unattended, I'm like a mob boss, exerting power and dominance for the family. My sense of loyalty will bowl anybody over. I'll bring down the whole theater to protect my own. But there's a kinder way. By observation of my values, consistently, internally reiterating their supreme importance in my life, I calm myself, and I see my actions and behaviors in real time, or maybe even ahead of time, allowing my values and beliefs to inform them. When my value for loyalty is brought into tow, when I am observational master of it, I can render it as love for my friends, my family, my people. It is ultimately all about the people surrounding us. When my value for loyalty is observed and honored, I'm able to honor the people around me with my clearest self and be a benefit to them, rather than a liability. I have two stories involving the same friend, which I will share now. This friend has been a good guy and a good friend for many years now. We're about the same age, and we're very different kinds of people. Where I am loud, he is quiet. Where I am reactionary and action-focused, he is contemplative and thoughtful. These are the types of friends I attract in my life. These are the traits that are weirdly common among those closest to me. The first story, I'll skip many details to protect the innocent and also the guilty. I was once a part of a group, along with this friend of mine, and we were once planning a grand new venture. Lots of moving pieces. Now, I was not a particularly welcome member of the group for reasons I won't go into here and now. But as we've established, my friend was the opposite kind of guy, and he was the right kind of guy for the group. He was welcome, I was not. But we both had a lot of skin in the game. The short end of the long story is that there ended up being a deeply inappropriate show of machismo, a gross power imbalance involving all the male members of the group. I'd gotten on the wrong side of the wrong leader, and he was going to let me know about it. I had stepped over a leadership line. I'd had the wrong idea, and it couldn't be allowed to pass unchallenged. And this young man, this friend of mine, we were both so young back then, was the only one to stand with me. He didn't even take my side on the issue at hand. I was ugly crying in front of most of the men I'd come to adore and admire, plus a number of their pubescent sons who had been invited for the dressing down. My world was beginning to shatter, and my heart was breaking. The cracks began to show. And my friend sat at the table next to me, and he held my hand. I was angry. I got defensive. I was young, and I understand now that I was being inappropriately attacked by older men who were meant to have loved and looked out for me, and they weren't. They didn't. And there wasn't a damned thing my friend could do about it except hold my hand. I was writhing in my seat. I know I didn't respond well. I often didn't in those days. And that's it. That's the story. A friend loyally held my hand in a time of pain and humiliation. He showed loyalty to me by being there for me, even when it may have cost him something socially. He showed me love and loyalty as a shelter. Okay, next story. Same friend, year or two later. You may recall my kitchen floor moment. It was in that era of my life. Early coffee career. We had a couple of kids by then, tiny little things, couldn't do anything for themselves, couldn't feed themselves, couldn't wipe their own butts or play by themselves. Really a profoundly needy time in all of our lives. I planned a getaway for my wife and me. I found this cute cabin up on the Mackenzie River. I thought it was perfect. We were right on the river Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. We didn't have to be back until Sunday evening. It was, as I mentioned, a very stressful time in our lives, and we needed the getaway. But my wife is a deeply responsible person and was very conscious of the burden watching kids for a whole weekend could be. This friend of mine had gotten married. I stood in their wedding, and they had offered to watch our kids while we were away. But there was a miscommunication, and they were under the impression that we'd be home more like noon on Sunday. It's a long story, but the end of it is that there was a conflict, as sometimes happen, even between friends. Our beautiful wives had brief words, and my wife was devastated. She hadn't intended to take advantage, and my friend's wife, also now my friend for the record, had felt taken advantage of. And as young men do, my friend came to his wife's defense and aid. My unchained sense of loyalty kicked in. Like a mob boss with an axe to grind, I held my wife for a moment or two, and I joined him in battle. Blades drawn, ready to vanquish. I will not tell you the things I said to my friend who held my hand under the table. In truth, I probably can't remember most of them, but I remember the feelings I had, and I am ashamed. It is possible, probable even, that my friends, newlyweds, childless at the time, used to their time being their own, could have benefited from a broader, gentler conversation about how their words had affected my wife. But we didn't make space for that. My friend and I attacked. Like dogs with a bone, we attacked, and we very nearly killed our friendship entirely. We certainly wounded it very deeply. We are friends today, good friends who love each other with a deep love that would hold hands under the table again. But I think we didn't speak for a year or two. And it was another year or two before we started becoming friendly, and a few years more before it felt like there was some water under the bridge. And that's the second story. My untamed sense of loyalty for my wife very nearly killed a wonderful friendship that we do still enjoy today. It was loyalty as a weapon. My untamed desire to protect my wife nearly cost me a friendship and did nothing to actually protect the ones I love. The card says, "Faithful to my friends." And I'm learning that sometimes being faithful means holding their hand when they are hurting, and sometimes being faithful means holding my own tongue when I am hurting.